WOAI. This is Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us today. And every Saturday, we start at 9, we go to 10, and we ask that you join us on social media. You can find a platform on sidebartv.com. And that's because we continue the show at 10 a.m. for the after show when everybody lets loose. And we really appreciate every single one of you that joins us every week. We've had some old school from the very beginning when I ridiculously tried to put us on social media, but thank you very much, Saulo and crew, for making that happen, because it looks so much better, and we all get to talk, and I don't have to sit so close to everybody. So
you don't use any deodorant, that's why.
I know. Sidebartv.com, that's where you can find the social media platform. Hey, what's trending in the news this week? I keep on thinking, what's not trending in the news? This week, the Epstein files, it's still in the news. We also have the shooting in Australia, the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife, health insurance. President Trump had a speech, marijuana reclassification, a war with Venezuela. Hopefully, we're going to get a chance to talk about many of these issues and issues that you would want to talk about. You can always message us on any of those social media platforms. And every week, if you have not been here before, you can come here to hear former Bexar County District Attorney Nico LaHood, trial lawyer, managing partner of LaHood Norton Law Group, and George Araujo, scholar, former chemist, pharmaceutical researcher, and director. And hopefully, you consider these people friends just like I do. President Trump addressed the nation this week, and it seemed, was it a shorter speech than usual? Or was it just that I didn't have enough time to soak it in? I mean, how is this speech going to affect all of us?
Well, George has the transcript, and so I'm sure he's analyzed.
He's memorized
he's
it and analyzed
dude,
it.
He always gets the transcripts. Forget about watching videos. He loves transcripts. Look, I didn't time it. I don't know. I mean, I didn't watch all of it.
It was less than 3 hours like it usually is. Let me just say that.
Then that's a short speech.
Yeah.
But look, he was touting his economic record. I mean, I think it's good I think it's good that he's trying to communicate with the American people. Definitely Biden didn't do it. Not a lot of presidents do it. I mean, if you're talking about his predecessor, Biden didn't do it for sure. He's talking about inflation being lowered. And for the people that want to criticize Trump, I mean, let's just look at objective facts. I mean, under Biden, inflation was 10%. It's lower. I mean, it's in the 2s, 2.5. I mean, I think we talked about it last week.
It's 2.7 now.
2.7, almost 2.5. Okay, so that's manageable for sure. Of course, we wanted it 2% or lower, and it was lower under Trump 1.0. And then he talked about prices going down, but I mean, are they going down fast enough? I mean, so you know, eggs and bread going down, wages haven't risen at the cost of everything else, because there still seems to be a cost pinch for people. My concern overall, I won't dissect the whole thing because I know George wants to talk about it, then we can go wherever you want to go with this, Karen, is are people feeling what he's claiming? And my concern is I don't want this to be another Biden situation, Mayorgas, where the border's fine. The inflation is transitory. You don't feel it. The economy's great. You know, build back better crap. And that's what I don't want, because if the people don't feel it, then it's going to result in different voting in the midterms. And you know me, it's all about the midterms. It needs to be all about the midterms. Trump's presidency will be over in less than a year if Republicans don't win the midterms. Whether you like it or not, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. It's like I tell my clients, I'm here to tell you the truth and then come up with a plan. So if the Republicans want to win the midterm and want President Trump's agenda to continue, they need to be laser focused on the midterms, and I don't see evidence of that. Okay, well, back to Trump's speech. So, you know, what are people experiencing? And that's the reality that we have to look at. And so what he should have said versus what he said, you know, when he gave himself the A+++++++++++, whatever it was a couple of weeks ago, that's not my style. I think it's hyperbole. I don't think it's an A+++++++, all that stuff. My humble opinion, and you know, I'm into messaging because I'm a trial lawyer. I would have said something like, well, we all know that I inherited this from Biden. He could have explained how the economy was under Biden. Under Biden, we had this inflation, we had this going on, we had this international issue, and how it was when he took over. So he's making a comparison. Here it was under Biden, here it was when I took over, here it is now, and here's where we're going. This is truly a transitory year. I think we made great strides. I couldn't have done it alone. I know you're still feeling pain. I know we're not where you want to be. I know you're not where I've said we're going to be, but I still have 3 more years, and we're going to get there. I need you to hold on. I need you to be patient with me. And I'm speaking not just to Republicans. I'm speaking to Democrats, Independents. I know what I can see what you're feeling. I hear what you're feeling, and we're working on it. I think that is a speech where it's like, okay, well, yeah, he did check my brain. I do that in trials all the time. I know you're thinking this. I know you're going to want to feel this way, but hold on. This is what you need to consider, and this is what the end of the trial is going to show you. And then, of course, closing arguments brings all that together. So that's me. Democrats promised things that weren't true, and I'm concerned that Trump is going to be labeled as the same old politician telling me something that's not real. It's not what you're talking about. It's not raining outside. Then why am I soaked? Why am I soaked, and why do I hear thunder? But it's not raining outside. Did a bird pee on me? I mean, what do you mean? I'm soaking wet. Why? What do you mean it's not raining outside? So that's my concern. So I don't know what George feels about it. We haven't talked about it, but that's just overall kind of my observation from the speech, and you can get into the details if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, he hit on all the points that people, I think, we've been talking about that here. He needs to communicate more. It can't just be Scott Bessent, although he's doing a really good job communicating. It can't just be the resident communicator, Marco Rubio, who has how many jobs now in the federal government? Running
many hats.
Sort of losing track. But he's a great communicator. J.D. Vance, I'm glad to see Trump out there doing it. I think he needs to do more of it. I thought the speech was pointed. It was, to your point, relatively concise. He hit all the points, foreign policy and immigration. He really hit heavy on that. I think did really well connecting between immigration and economics. This is, I thought, the most salient part of the speech. I'd like to share it with you. It does come from a transcript. Quote,
No.
For the
Really?
Oh, boy. I'll never live that down.
Good.
For the last 4 years, the United States was ruled by politicians who fought only for insiders, illegal aliens, career criminals, corporate lobbyists, prisoners, terrorists, and above all, foreign nations. He's not wrong. They flooded your cities and towns with illegal aliens. They decimated your hard-earned savings. They indoctrinated your children with hate for America. Now you have a president who fights for the law-abiding, hard-working people of our country, the ones who make this nation run, who make like this nation work. So that connection between what he's been doing on the border and our economic improvements was made in the speech. Absolutely critical. And I think Americans resonate with that. But to your point, Nico, how? And so it is transitory right now in the actual appropriate use of the word, but explain how. We had lots of economic news this week, lots of it. And some of it came before, some of it came after, that I think supports what he's saying. It's interesting that unemployment ticked up, but that's a win for the president. He should have explained that, and that's coming. That's a big win.
Wow.
Because 2 reasons. You guys might remember, I mean, he's been in office 11 months. About 2 months or so in, they announced that they were going to let a bunch of federal workers go away, to the tune of hundreds of thousands of people. A lot of them took delayed resignation deals, and that hits now, and it's hit for this latest economic report. So that unemployment translates to a lot of regulatory positions that are out on the street. So Americans voted for that. They voted for, better trade deals. They voted for, to maintain a favorable tax status. They voted for a lot of deregulation in Trump. So that's hitting the numbers right now. The other reason that unemployment ticking up is not bad news for the administration, Nico, is because a lot of those individuals were deported.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's a fact. 2.6 million people, 600,000 have been deported by ICE efforts, and over 2 million have self-deported. And that has had a significant and measurable impact on unemployment numbers. That needs to be explained, that more Americans, rather Native Americans, if you will, people that are native-born relative to foreign workers, are filling those jobs now. And so, but it leaves a transitional void that will be filled. He should also talk about the fact that 59% of illegal aliens have been drawing on at least one or more welfare programs.
Crazy.
That needs to be explained. And so these kinds of things, need to be sort of, last time he put up a chart was when? Well, maybe that's not why he doesn't want to do it, because he was almost shot in Butler, right? He turned over the chart and a bullet whizzes by.
Yeah.
But I think that's helpful. I think break it down for people. So I thought he did a really good job marrying immigration and economics, and I think they need to do more of it. But to Nico's point, decompose it a little bit for people.
What was the takeaway? What do the polls say about it? How many people watched it? Do we know how many people watched it?
No, I don't know if there's any polling on the speech right now. But I think I'm just going to keep beating a drum on your point. It's not about the speech. There's a shift in he's communicating this, and he says, "Hey, tune in tomorrow." Even before that, he kept saying, "Tune in tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Tune in tomorrow." That's right. Have those White House press conferences more and more and more.
Do we know how many people watch this?
I don't.
Because if people aren't watching it themselves, then they're going to read somebody's spin from it. Because, I mean, you can see some headlines where Trump, blah, 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 does this, and fact checkers said this, blah, blah, and the other people said, oh, Trump did a great speech. I mean, so each tribe is going to watch the news from their tribal leaders, so to speak. And so, but that's not who's going to move the needle. The midterms are going to be determined by the people that don't stay home on either side and the independents. That's just me. Because look, Republicans are going to vote for Trump regardless. Even if he, like Trump pisses me off, and we're going to talk about what he pissed me off about this week. But I mean, but I'm still going to vote for his policies and someone that's going to support his policies, because I think those ideas bless more Americans, even the people that don't support him. The Democrats and the progressives are going to vote for those ideas no matter who's filling in the void. It's the independents and the ones that don't stay home. If Republicans are so either discouraged or irritated that they stay home, that's a vote for Democrats, and vice versa. So it's going to be the people that don't stay home and the independents. And so that's, for me, that's my simple analysis. And I know Karen's going to...
Yes, I'm going to cut you off. Turn your microphone off. Okay, we're going to take a break right now. Please stick with us. I can't wait to hear the answers to all these questions. And please continue to send in yours on any social media platform. We're watching you. We'll be right back with more on Sidebar.
With reputations as respected high-level prosecutors in Bexar County, the attorneys of LaHood Norton Law Group bring invaluable practical knowledge from the other side of the aisle, using over 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome.
I'm Nico LaHood with LaHood Norton Law Group. Have you been arrested or accused of a crime? The LaHood Norton Law Group has the knowledge to defend you regardless of how small or large your case. In Bexar County, anywhere in the state, or even nationwide, we have the knowledge to defend you in federal or state court, no matter how small or large your case. We are trial lawyers with proven success.
Using their 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate for their clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome. The LaHood Norton Law Group. For a free consultation, call today, 210-797-7700. 210-797-7700. LaHoodNorton.com.
This is Nico LaHood. If you or a loved one has been arrested or accused of a crime, we can help.
LaHoodNorton.com.
1200 WOAI. This is Sidebar. Go to sidebartv.com because we will continue the show at 10 a.m. on social media. Just wrapping up the whole inflation and the speech that President Trump had. I think that, George, I totally understand what you're saying about Americans understanding these numbers when you look at them about inflation being lower and the tariffs not affecting us as much, or how but as Nico said, the spin on all of the publications and the reports continue to say this happened, but Trump is still bad.
Yeah, but I mean, Nico knows, and when you make those comments, while that's true, people need to feel it. At the end of the day, if they were going to go and vote today, what would they do? And the reality is that yeah, while the party in power is held to account by every objective measure right now, and I mean, look, the New York Times is talking about it, Washington Post, CNN ran an excoriating, I think, verdict on Democrat approval ratings right now. People have two choices. At the end of the day, it may not be great on the Republican side, but it's far worse on the Democrat side because all the Democrats run. Well, right now, Harry Enten was discussing it just this week, a couple of days ago, and said that overall, the net approval rating of Democrats is like negative 55%. And that's overall. Among independents, it's negative 61%. Among Democrats on Democrats, it's negative 6%. It's never been negative 6% Democrat on Democrat.
But you would think with those kind of numbers that every election that happened, Democrats would lose, and they're not losing lately.
You're right.
I mean, they're just, and I understand they're in whatever areas they're in, but still, I just don't know if that plays out. If that's playing out, especially look at the mayoral race in what was it, in Florida recently. And what was that Miami race?
Yeah,
Miami race again. After arguably a very strong Republican mayor, a Democrat mayor won. Now, how do you explain that based off what you're saying? So Harry Enten, I mean, either I don't know what that. There's a disconnect for me. I mean, because I'm an objective observer that looks at evidence. I'm looking at Florida, who's very red. I'm looking at arguably a very popular mayor, Republican mayor, that did well for his city. I think. I don't live there. I don't know. I'm just maybe the reporting was all BS, fake news. But then yet he had to have endorsed the Republican candidate, so that didn't mean anything. And the Democrat won. So what is your explanation for that?
Well, the explanation for that is that every week something changes and something unexpected changes. And so we've been talking about how, hey, it feels like it's a long time to the midterms, but it's actually not. So the time is now. And so there have been ramped up efforts to communicate these things, and economic news is following on that. I mean, and so all I'm saying is...
But do we know, do we have any exit polling or any analysis?
I mean, we're talking days here. So right now, these are polls that are happening on consumer sentiment. Consumer sentiment is improving. That's a good sign. The consumer price index, what people are actually paying. This is data that just came out. We didn't have data in October. We had data in September and data in November, Nico, because we didn't have it in October because of the shutdown. So the people who collect data just were MIA. But the data shows a dramatic decrease in the rate at which prices are increasing. In other words, a dramatic increase in inflation. It was unexpected. It's pretty dramatic. And so things, the point is domestic and foreign. So those things, all the hyperventilating about tariffs, it just simply hasn't happened. And the reality is that people are complaining, but they're spending money, a lot of it.
Okay,
and so there's what people say, and then there's what people do.
What they're doing is voting in Democrat mayors in Miami that had a strong Republican. So I want to know why. I mean, I want to make. I mean, you haven't had time. But you know I was going to ask you that, so I'm not saying you've done the analysis. But that's a question I have.
No, we've discussed the analysis here, which is the whole affordability thing. They've managed to take that talking point again. It seems surprising to me.
Then it doesn't matter what Harriet said. See, because all his stuff he does, and he likes to tick off the Republicans, he ticks off the Democrats. I think that's his shtick. It seems like. So that data doesn't matter then, because
here's why I think it matters.
But if it doesn't result in Republicans winning, then it doesn't matter to me. That's all my point. Because Trump won partly because how people felt, and people are not feeling what all this data seems to be, I guess, showing. I don't know why you have data that says one thing, but the reality is something different. There's a disconnect there.
Well, for a couple of reasons. I mean, there are different snapshots in time, and this is 24-hour news, 24/7 news cycle. We meet here every week. There's people who are talking about stuff every day, and it's changing every day. That's the reality of the situation today. So that election that you're talking about was 2.5 weeks ago. This poll's 2 days ago. A lot changes. So my point is, we're tracking sentiment. So the question is, if it was held today, you're being skeptical about it. Look, I'm skeptical too. I'm just saying that we're seeing a positive trend, and what Trump said needs to happen more if conservatives are going to win back the affordability discussion, because the numbers say they're winning, but people aren't feeling it, so they're going to vote how they feel. Fair enough. But I guess what I'm saying is continue to communicate the truth. And if it is true, and there's no reason to believe that it isn't, then people are going to vote what they feel. So things are changing on a regular basis. That election was 2.5 weeks ago. This just happened 2 days ago. Is it true? Is it not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm concerned. I've said it last week.
I'm concerned too.
Before. I mean, I think the RNC is not doing crap. I think they suck. And so they need to get their stuff together and either bring Laura Trump back or bring the group back that got you to the championship. And then have a better strategy on messaging, because I don't know. We'll see. I guess, look, November's a long way away, but it's not that long way away. And I think Miami was a kind of a wake-up call. It should have been for a lot of people.
But to your point, you can expect to see more polling on how people feel about economics, and because this isn't going to go away. The Democrats are beating this drum over and over and over again. And so I think you're going to see, next week, the week after that, more and more polling on consumer sentiment.
So when it comes to messaging, any comments about the message or the post that President Trump made about Rob Reiner this week?
Man, I got too much to say about that. Look, I mean, I think a lot of people bake in Trump's personality in their support. I do. But that one irritated the crap out of me. I mean, it was, to me, I mean, I'll just tell you what my thoughts were. It was uncivil. It was undignified. It was definitely unchristian. I mean, there's nothing. It was childish, in my opinion. It was pathetic. It wasn't just a mean tweet. His mean tweets are not mean tweets to me. I don't care if that that kind of stuff. This was something different. I think it was narcissistic. I mean, for those people that didn't hear it, I mean, I'll just read it to you. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director and movie star, has passed away, together with his wife, Michelle. Reportedly due, which this is not true, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, incurable affection with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome. What are you talking about? His own son. So you're saying that Nick Reiner was a Trump supporter and was so irritated that his pop had Trump deranged syndrome that he slit his pop's throat and his mom's throat? I mean, it doesn't get any more personal and brutal. Knife fights, knife murders are unique. I hate them. I don't like them. I mean, you don't get used to them, but then they're brutal. Trump sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy, apparently his son also because of it, by his raging obsession with President Donald J. Trump, talking about himself in the third person, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, which not everybody feels. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, thank you for making it about you. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. Okay, I guess, rest in peace. So you say that, something, so you bookend what he should have said. Take out the middle crap about him. And look, I'm just, you got to call balls and strikes, man. I mean, this was disgusting, and he deserves every bit of criticism. For the people that say this is who he is, this is what you get, man. I mean, and now, does that mean I don't support his policies? Nope, I still support his policies. But this was disgusting. But his first sentence, a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. Or he could have said a very sad thing happened in Hollywood. I was sad to see the murder of Rob and Michele Reiner. Regardless of our disagreements and his very stark and many times unfair criticism of me, I don't wish this upon anybody. There's a way he could have gotten his little thing in there. And so I please join everyone. Please join me in praying for his family's peace, because his children. Still, that would have been a classy thing to say. Yeah. He still could have satisfied his look. When someone like Trump, and I'm being objective. I am not trying to defend anything, because this was disgusting, and really is evidence that he's probably not saved. So poor dude is not going to go to heaven. And so he's right when he said he wasn't going to heaven on the plane. He knows what he feels and what he thinks. So, but you have to, in all fairness, what people, Rob Reiner wasn't Biden, and people tried to put him in prison and his children in prison. So in essence, they tried to kill him, right? I mean, people literally tried to kill him, which I don't know why we haven't heard, by the way, more about the Butler shooter. I mean, the Butler shooter tried to shoot him, and there's a lot of weird things. I have questions about the Butler shooter investigation, but that's a side note. I mean, so he's unforgiving. He said it he's honest at least. He goes, I'm not going to heaven. I'm not as forgiving as Erica Kirk. I resent my enemies, and I'm not like this, and I'm not Charlie. Charlie's the best of us. Okay, well, that's what he said. I mean, so, okay, and this is evidence that he meant what he said. So, I mean, that's why I'm not, oh my God, am I losing sleep over it? No. Do I believe it was everything I said it was, and it was disgusting and childish and unchristian and all undignified and all that crap? Yeah, narcissistic, yep, all of that, and nobody should defend. Nobody on the comments better say one damn thing to defend this stupidity.
Well, there are comments already.
Well, they can make comments, but please tell me that if anybody's defending it, then
well, Daryl just said Reiner was the one that said he was mad the bullet that hit Trump didn't kill him.
And what?
Therefore what?
And therefore what? What is that? I don't understand. What is your point?
Two things could be true at the same time, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
But do you want to be just like your opponents and worse, or do you want to turn it on their heads? Because this right there, the example that I said he should have said would have just taken him to another level. Then just say, I'm no different than Rob Reiner. How is Trump any different than Rob? So what Daryl just said is Trump's just like Rob Reiner. Okay, fine. Well, if you don't like Rob Reiner, you probably don't like Trump personality-wise. I'm not talking about policy-wise.
Ken said, look back at what Rob Reiner said about President Trump over the years. Trump didn't even come close to that.
I got all of it.
I got it.
That's your opinion. That's fine. So you're justifying disgusting behavior. That's fine. You can do that. You can say, but look what you did to me. I got it. But I'm a Christ follower. So Jesus kicked ass in the temple. He kicked ass on Holy Monday. And I cover your ears. He cussed out the Pharisees in Matthew 23, whether you like it or not, the 7 woes to the Pharisees. And so he wasn't some little choir boy that never said anything risque. But yet he died for all of us.
And then he ended up dying for the people whose asses he kicked.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And Rob Reiner is a mixed bag. I mean, I loved his movies.
Yeah,
loved his movies, and his movies were filled. I mean, some of the most quotable movies. I'm still quoting The Princess Bride from 1987, right? My name's Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, perpetually. I mean, I love that movie.
So good.
I mean, you could do it all day long with that movie. When Harry Met Sally, a great movie.
All of them.
I love the story that, he met his wife, Michelle, on that set. And because of his connection with her, it ended up changing how When Harry Met Sally actually ended. So they ended up staying together, right? His movies, whatever you believe about his politics, and I hated his politics. I thought he was crazy, and I think he did have Trump derangement syndrome.
I agree with that.
But here's what we're saying for people who are listening in. I think it's tough to find a more avid Trump policy supporter than me. But I guess I'm wondering, I don't think that Trump gains anything by doing these stupid things. And because the reality is, and we're just talking about polling, there are plenty of people on the fence who are wincing when stuff like this happens. And then I want to know why he does things like this. And I have a list, but I want to know why he does things like this that then require supporters like me to defend him for absolutely no gain whatsoever. I don't know. I mean, why dance on Rob Reiner's grave? How's that okay? So I think that's basically what we're saying.
Okay, let's take a break right now. Let's take a break, and we're going to discuss this and many more things. Stick with us and go to sidebartv.com, because that's where you can find us on social media. We continue at 10. We'll be right back with Sidebar.
This is News Radio 1200 WOAI San Antonio, an iHeart radio station, guaranteed human. Now, the latest news, weather, and traffic from the GiveMeTheVin.com Sell Us Your Car studio.
I'm Eric Lycum at News Radio 1200 WOAI. War Secretary Pete Hegseth declaring vengeance on ISIS in Syria. Details coming up. First, traffic and weather together.
The WOAI Traffic Center.
Good morning, drivers. It looks like we have some ongoing road construction to look out for, causing some delays on southbound 35. That's going to be around a 10-minute traffic delay, as that's reducing the roadway to only one lane between Pat Booker Road and Thousand Oaks Drive. I'm Carson Parnell, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
Looking for 77 this afternoon, cloudy and 60 now at the WOAI 24-hour weather center. Our top story. Dozens of ISIS targets were struck yesterday in what War Secretary Pete Hegseth called a declaration of vengeance.
The U.S. launching retaliatory strikes in Syria in response to last weekend's killing of 3 Americans. The U.S. hit more than 70 sites targeting ISIS fighters, infrastructure, and weapons sites. 2 Iowa National Guard members and a U.S. civilian interpreter were killed last Saturday.
Fox's Chanley Painter reporting. The Spurs got on top of the Atlanta Hawks early and stayed there to beat them 126-98. Victor Wembanyama good for a double-double, 26 points, 12 rebounds. Devin Vassell poured in 18 points as the Spurs won their 20th game of the season. That didn't happen till late January last year. News on demand at WOAI.com. Our next update, top of the hour. Breaking information as it happens. I'm Eric Lycum on San Antonio's news, weather, and traffic station, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Indeed Sponsored Jobs gives your job posting a turbo boost. Match with the candidates you're looking for, making your hiring simple. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Again, that's Indeed.com/credit.
1200 WOAI. This is Sidebar. Remember, go to sidebartv.com and please consider becoming a contributor. We really appreciate every single one of you. Before the break, Nico, we were talking about how people have, Trump deranged syndrome, and Rob Reiner was like the head of that.
He had it bad.
But-
There's no doubt about that.
But I mean, do people go too far on the opposite side when they are defending Trump for things that are wrong?
Well, it just, and again, I'm not being disrespectful to Daryl and Karen, and thank you for sharing your opinions. But to me, something like this tests what you really believe. I mean, I always tell people, if you want to find out someone's true character, I've never been proven wrong on this. It's not because I'm so smart. It's because it's a truism that God created in the human experience. If you want to find out someone's true character, give them power or problems. You'll always find out someone's true character. Perceive power, authority, money, influence, whatever, problems, health, financial, personal, whatever, relational, power or problem, legal, you're going to find out. So for me, a situation like this tests what I believe, test exactly who I am and what my worldview is and my faith. Because for me, remember, I make a claim. I make a claim that I'm a Christ follower. But as a Christ follower, I'm not a doormat. I mean, I'll defend myself. I'll straighten someone's jaw for them if they want. I mean, I can be as vicious as the next person, hopefully tempered under the Holy Spirit for me. But Proverbs 24:17, and I've had to rely to this, gone to Proverbs 24:17, 18, 19, and 20, that has gotten me through political battles, people that have lied, cheated, stealed, tried to destroy me, have ill intent for me and my family, could care less about my kids, truly wanted to destroy my career and liberties or whatever. I mean, just evil people around me. Proverbs 24:17, and I've had to apply this to myself and temper my heart when I see people fall. Do not gloat when your enemy falls. When they stumble, do not let your heart rejoice, or the Lord will see and disapprove and turn his wrath away from them. So he's going to turn his wrath away from your enemies, and Scripture tells us he defends you from your enemies. Verse 19, which I had to rely on many times, do not fret because of evildoers or envious, or be envious of the wicked. For the evildoer has no future hope, and the lamp of the wicked will be snuffed out. Now, if you gloat, then the lamp of the wicked will not be snuffed out. So to me, as a Christ follower, someone who's persuaded by the Bible, old and new, and I've had to rely on this. Again, that doesn't mean you don't defend yourself passionately. And there's no nice way to defend yourself in the moment. In the moment. This is not the moment. Again, and I would have advised him, I said, Mr. President, you can put, although I thought he was unfair in his criticism of me, this is not a time for gloating or for this. And I want to, please join me in praying for his family, for his two children. Think about it. Those two siblings lost their brother and their parents viciously. I'm telling you, if you have never seen a death scene, a murder scene from a knife attack, you then just don't, it doesn't get, the only thing I can think of worse than a child murdering their parent, especially not a gunshot where you can actually close your eyes and turn away as long as the barrel's facing your target. This is personal, is a parent murdering a child. It's the only thing worse I can think of that I've seen. Other than, murdering 5-year-olds and all that. I mean, we can talk about that separately. I'm talking about inside the family unit structure. It's terrible. It's horrible. And I don't wish this on Rob Reiner. I feel for his two kids left behind, the daughter and the son. So, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's more than unfortunate. It's tragic.
So, you know how I feel about this. Of course, I completely agree there, but I'm going to take the other side for a moment.
Which other side?
Well, the other view on this.
Okay.
The tribal view.
Oh, got it.
Supporting Trump.
So, Trump, people who are weighing in, including me, and me less justifiably than you, because because of the type of tragedy you've been through. So they went after Trump. They went after his family. They went after his kids. They went after his livelihood. Rob Reiner was a leader in that movement, a prominent leader in that movement. Rob Reiner's comments about that, going after Trump, a very deep and personal way, were frequent, I should say. And they were beyond vitriolic. And we all know what Trump's been going through over the last decade. In fact, I dare to say, I know we say it hyperbolically, but actually it's not hyperbolic. It's hard to find a politician, if you can even find a human being, with any kind of prominence that's gone through anywhere near what Donald Trump has gone through. And what Trump has pointed out is that Rob Reiner wasn't just involved in that, but that he was a leader in that movement and that it was hateful. For me, it's been tough to reconcile as well because, like I said, I love his movies, and it seems to me the movies that he made projected the Rob Reiner that I hope was really kind of a lovable classical liberal, the guy that you see on All in the Family. But the politics, there did seem to be this kind of maliciousness there directed at Trump and his family and all things Trump. And I think people are feeling like they need to defend what would seem kind of a justifiable impulse from Trump, and only from Trump, because Trump has singularly gone through that kind of excoriation, in many ways led by Rob Reiner. So just kind of stepping back on it, you don't dance on a man's grave, because to your point, at the end of the day, Rob Reiner and his wife died a vicious, horrific death, but a death at the hands of their son. There's a gross sadness there. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how to say any more than that. I mean, does anyone deserve to die like that?
I don't know what leader means to you, because I don't think Rob Reiner was a leader.
Oh no, he was absolutely prominent.
Well, I'm asking. I'm asking. So. Because I know you're just taking the other side.
Yeah.
So to me, to be a leader in that movement, and there was a movement to get Trump, no doubt about that. I mean, and it was evil. It was evil, in my opinion. It was evil. It was unjustified. Criticism was justified, but what they tried to do to him and his family was not justified. And I think, look, you're seeing the fruits of that. And they were penalized for it because Trump won, and we have control. We had control. We have control for now of Congress. But a leader to me is someone that's in a room making decisions, and Rob Reiner was not a leader in that movement. He was a supporter in that movement, not a leader, because he wasn't making decisions. There's no evidence that Rob Reiner was in the meetings with Biden and the DOJ and with what's his face, that Jack, whatever his name is, making decisions to go after Trump and to go after his kids and go after his supporters and all that stuff. So, in my humble opinion, with all due respect, he was not a leader. He was a supporter, because words matter to me.
Nico,
So
maybe you're saying political leader. But he was a leader in his industry.
That's not. But no. But George said a leader in the movement to get Trump. Now you're saying he's a leader in a different way. I agree.
What about a thought leader?
Well,
he was a leader in regards to moving a lot of people just to hate Trump.
Sure.
Well, let me just define for a moment what I meant by leader. Nico's being very, very particular about that, and I can see why. Because at the end of the day, the people who had their fingers on the trigger of Department of Justice wasn't Rob Reiner. Fair enough. But I was thinking broadly. Having the resources, having the prominence, and having the pull. And Rob Reiner and his wife had been involved in Democrat politics, Democrat leadership politics, getting kingmakers elected for many, many years. That's what I meant by that. It wasn't just some guy. And he was out there. Man, for him, it was almost this is interesting from a guy who called himself an atheist. It was almost religious for him, in the way, a religious Jew, I should say, a non-religious Jew, I should say, who would just viscerally after Trump. That's what I'm trying to tap into, that people perceive it that way. But to your point, I get it. He wasn't, at the end of the day, he wasn't on Biden's. It comes down to your
beliefs. Look, let me tell you something. I'll make it personal for me. I think Joe Gonzalez, the current DA, is a disgusting person, because he's a coward. Joe, and he won't even look at me when I see him, because he's a coward. He's a coward. I mean, he's such a coward, and he's immoral, and he's unethical. All those things. Those are my opinions, and I can back it up with objective proof. He's a coward of a man, because he tried to behind the scenes, because he's such a coward, and he was a horrible DA, and now people saw exactly what he did, and you get what you get. You know, whoever voted for him got this. But and he tried to in the back, he tried to take my law license, and he tried to do this, and he tried to do that, and the Lord has continued to vindicate and continued to do this, and now we've seen Joe has been exposed and all this stuff. But if Joe Gonzalez, I mean, let me tell you, I mean, if he walked into a gym where I train, I mean, we would train. You know, you understand my point? I mean, he's a coward of a man. I mean, he's a disgusting person. He's just a horrible person. But if he called me today and said, I need help, my child is this, or my wife is this, and I prayed for his wife before when she went through a medical emergency in the past, I would drop my defenses.
Yeah, I know you would.
I would. And if God forbid, because I don't think Joe's saved. There's no way, because he's such a piece of crap. So there's no way he's saved. But I care more about his salvation. If Joe passed away, and I don't want him to, because I want him saved, I would say, damn, I didn't have because I want an opportunity to talk to him about the gospel. Now, I'm being tested in what I believe. It doesn't get any more personal than that.
I want to peel back what you mean by that, because people who don't understand that language and what that means in terms of why it matters to you that Joe Gonzalez is saved as a Christian. Here's why this matters. I'm going to say what I think you mean.
Go ahead.
And tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it's important because that's how I'm listening to it, and I think it's important, very important point. When we say that as Christians, what we're saying is that we want this person, listen carefully, we want this person in eternity.
Yes.
In the presence of God with us.
Yep.
Think about what he's saying.
Yep.
And I want this person who is an avowed enemy of me
Yep.
to be in my presence
With my
for
Savior.
eternity.
With my Savior.
With my Savior.
Yep.
So these aren't casual points. It's an expression of love at the deepest level for a Christian. I just thought it was important.
Thank you.
I want him saved.
You're
People
right.
are like, what does that mean?
No, I'm glad.
So,
thank you for
right.
You're right, because I mean, I'm talking to you. I'm looking at you, and but other people might not understand that. But that's exactly right. And so that's because it tests my beliefs. Now, if Joe ever wanted to get sideways with me, he knows he's a coward. He'll walk away from me because he knows he can't handle it. But what I'm saying is I'd oblige him. How about that? I'm going to oblige people. But in my heart, I'm not going to gloat. And there's been plenty of times where Joe is fallen. I don't gloat over it. It doesn't mean I don't continue to push. It doesn't mean I don't continue to expose. It doesn't mean I want to continue to win and crush his bad intentions. All of that's still true. That doesn't change. But there has to be something inside the Christ follower, because that's what I claim to be. I mean, I guess Trump's never claimed that. I don't know. He talks about, I don't know what the hell Trump is. Look, I still support his policies. I would vote for him a third time if he was able to run constitutionally, but he can't. So, I mean, that's just the way I believe. And I don't believe that if you are a Christian, whether it's Ken, Daryl, anybody else, you cannot justify what he said in this. That's all I'm saying. That's my worldview. Now, again, I think there's been a way that somebody could advise them to creatively say, I know we got to satisfy this itch. I get it. It's personal. He said some horrific things about you, Mr. President. And he did. Rob Reiner said some stupid-ass things about Donald Trump and his supporters, which means I'm one of them. So Rob Reiner said stuff about me. And? I don't know.
Okay, we got to take a break. Man, oh man, oh man. We're going to wrap this up in the next segment. That means you better get on sidebartv.com, find a platform, because we continue at 10. Right now, we'll be right back.
With reputations as respected high-level prosecutors in Bexar County, the attorneys of LaHood Norton Law Group bring invaluable practical knowledge from the other side of the aisle, using over 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome.
I'm Nico LaHood with LaHood Norton Law Group. Have you been arrested or accused of a crime? The LaHood Norton Law Group has the knowledge to defend you regardless of how small or large your case. In Bexar County, anywhere in the state, or even nationwide, we have the knowledge to defend you in federal or state court, no matter how small or large your case. We are trial lawyers with proven success.
Using their 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate for their clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome. The LaHood Norton Law Group. For a free consultation, call today, 210-797-7700. 210-797-7700. LaHoodNorton.com.
This is Nico LaHood. If you or a loved one has been arrested or accused of a crime, we can help.
LaHoodNorton.com.
WOAI. This is Sidebar. Please go online, get on a social media platform right now, because this conversation will continue.
I think what we're saying, Nico, is nothing wrong with retribution, but we don't want vengeance.
That's right.
And so retribution's about, and grab a dictionary, it's about proportional justice. Justice, not vengeance. And so the man's dead, it's over, okay? There's not going to be any more posts coming from Mr. Reiner.
Can you imagine? And there's people out there, and I want to speak against this. There's people, I guarantee it. There's people out there who's like, he got what he deserved. Man, do you want to get what you deserve? Do you know what you deserve? You know what I deserve in my flesh? Yeah. You know what I've deserved in my 53 years of life? For us, as a Christ follower, Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. Get over it, okay? But historically, but we're going to celebrate the birth of the Savior of the world on December 25th. We're going to celebrate it on that day. And what does that mean? That means the world needs saving. That God himself, in the second person of the Trinity, stepped into our crap hole. I'll say it differently on the after show. And lived a life that we couldn't live. Offered us a gift that we didn't earn, and died a death that we deserve. We all deserve to die the most horrible death because of our sin nature and our flesh. And that's why Christmas is such a big deal for me and my family. And I love everything about this season. Kurt just played Joy to the World. I mean, Holy Night. I love these songs. That's all I'm playing when I'm not on the phone driving. I'm listening to traditional Christmas carols. I mean, it brings nostalgia back when my brother was with us. He's in heaven right now. But the joy, and then there's so many people that aren't going to have joy. Those two kids, culturally, whether they're Jewish or not, we still as a nation celebrate Christmas. How's their Christmas going to be? To the two siblings left over. See, people,
Yes.
you gloat. Proverbs 24:17. You gloat in what you think is a win. It's not a win. There's no win. Now, if somebody steps into my house and wants to hurt my family, they will leave this earth and meet the Creator of the world, and I won't lose 1 second of sleep. I will rejoice that God gave me the talent, the skill, the nerve to make sure that I defended my family. I won't lose a wink. So why are you so crazy? I'm not crazy. I'm very direct. But in that same vein, I wanted a Rob Reiner. I want Joe Gonzalez to go to heaven. There's another guy named Jay Brandon who's a piece of crap. He lied about me. I would try to take these people tried to take my livelihood from my children, but I would still today, if they either one of those idiots called me, listen to me, I'm very, very specific. I would speak to them about the gospel of Jesus Christ because I want them in heaven, like George said. That's what I believe. Do you understand what I'm saying, Karen?
It's our assignment.
Well, and for
it's
me,
our assignment.
Well,
It is.
Matthew 28:19 means something to me. Going to all nations, making disciples of all men, teaching them to obey all that I've commanded, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I claim to be a Christian. Am I really a Christian?
I think that's what you're saying. You're saying you recognize when you're off the battlefield, man. It's over now. It's done.
It's done.
But here's the point. Trump's not off the battlefield.
Trump's
he
ear
clearly
was
doesn't
great.
believe.
Rob Reiner's throat
Yep.
was cut. Some idiot kid that we don't know anything about for whatever reason, it got shot in the head by snipers. His son is going to be, and his other two children, and that's okay. I mean, no, you won, quote unquote. How about that? You won, Trump. You won. The fact that you're still here, and that Rob Reiner left this earth, but not only by the most vicious way, but the most embarrassing way. The criticism. How did you raise your kid? Well, you've heard these terms, nepo babies. Have you heard that before? Nepo baby?
Yeah.
Whereas, just children of famous people and what happens. Okay, is this an example of a nepo child, a nepo baby? I don't know. But how does it move the needle? How does it do anything for society as a whole? If that's our goal, it's a better society. How does that better society to step on a man's grave?
Amen. And let's step back. I mean, by every indication, Rob Reiner, at least from what we're hearing from his kids, Rob Reiner was a good dad.
Yeah.
He loved his kids.
Yep.
Now, again, without getting into the weeds here and pronouncing judgment, I'm not in a position to do that. I don't know the details, but I know enough details because, I started and never finished. There was a documentary that he actually did with his son in 2015 that kind of, it's called Being Charlie, that sort of a way to look at his son's struggle with drug and alcohol abuse. This is a real problem in America. We've talked about that here. Some 50 million Americans that struggle with this, and it leads to very, very bad things. And so they did everything they could to try to help this kid. It was unsuccessful, and he struggled with this all of his life. He had been in and out of drug treatment
SSRI
programs.
drugs.
Yeah.
The research, SSRI drugs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and what they do to you, and the suicidal tendencies and the violent tendencies, and how many mass quote-unquote shooters and violent people of mass have been on SSRI drugs, and the abuse that we have of them.
And apparently by the age 15, he was in and out of drug treatment programs. By his own admission or confession, he had been out of some drug treatment program some 18 times in his teen years. He had been homeless twice, and there were a number of occasions where he had been, I guess, I'll use the word violent, physical, whatever. So this had been a long journey and a heartbreaking journey. But it seems like his two other kids who have weighed in, these aren't just our parents, they're our best friends. Rob Reiner had been previously married to Penny Marshall. Remember from Laverne and Shirley?
Yeah.
Great lady, funny lady.
Funny lady.
And anyway, but they have a child. He had a child, Tracy, from that marriage. And by all indications, it seems like his kids just adored him.
Yeah.
So what about them? I again, you just gotta step back and put yourself in their shoes. Those shoes you want to walk in.
And he had a lot of them. And he had Trump deranged syndrome. Got it, check. I agree. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he said he was horrified by that. he responded appropriately. He didn't say, and he said some crazy things about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And because I guess it's the same FU because he was a Trump supporter. But Rob Reiner, he didn't dance on Charlie Kirk's grave. He said, I was horrified and I watched it, and nobody deserves that. I don't care what you're political. No one deserves that. And that was the appropriate response. And he elevated and affirmed Erica Kirk and said, look, I believe in the teachings of Jesus Christ and forgiveness. And Erica Kirk modeled that. It was wonderful to see. I mean, look, that was appropriate. You got to give the guy credit for all of his TDS and all that other stuff. He did it right. So
this issue is beyond Rob Reiner.
Yeah,
We're warning people. I think we're concerned that we're caught up in this stream of tit for tat, and it's vengeance on vengeance.
Richard said
this is the problem in American politics right now. And the president of the United States, the most powerful man on the face of the earth, had an opportunity to scale back, step back, and be gracious in this moment. I think it would be critical. Go ahead, Salo.
Thank you, Richard, for commenting. He says Trump stated facts. He did not state anything that reflected joy over Reiner's murder.
Okay, Richard, that's fine. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, he elevated himself. You're right. I mean, I guess technically, if you want to read that, you don't see joy in it. But I guess I would press back if I was cross-examining the president and saying, what was your intent behind saying everything you said? I mean, you're obviously gloating. You're gloating. You're making the point. Because what's the relevance if we're objecting in a court of law? Objection relevance. Anything that has a tendency to prove or disprove a material fact in the case. What's the relevance of saying all that stuff? I don't know. I mean, and then what's your goal? Are you trying to move for me, let's say that he thought everything, and you can think that. But strategically, someone said, look, there's people watching. There's people in the middle. This is going to change. People are going to change the way they view. And then just say, appeal to them. Can you temper it just for now? Let's help you just be a strategist. I don't understand even as a strategist, what did this do for the Donald Trump movement, his presidency, or this country that he claims to love so much, which I believe he loves this country, by the way. I mean, I don't know. Again, there's a deeper, for someone who's dealt with murder, because my brother was murdered in our driveway, for someone who deals with murder for a living, I've prosecuted it and I've defended it. For someone who has dealt with the new normal in people's lives, because there was a new normal in the first 10 to 15 Christmases after my brother were miserable for me. Because I held God in contempt. I held people in contempt. I was miserable. And I was not reaching my God-given potential, and then I get tested more when people, and that's why I used the Joe Gonzalez, Jay Brandon example, because these are people that tried to affect my children by what they were doing to me, what they thought they could do to me, and they couldn't. Because did I say they're weak people? Because they're weak people. I won't even use the word men because they're not men. But I mean, but with all that passion that I have, and look at that, listen to me, you're looking at me, Karen. Mm-hmm. I would still drop it all if they called me and asked me for my help, and if they wanted to hear about Jesus Christ and what Christmas really means and what the gospel means, because I want overall, because of my devotion to Christ, not my devotion to humanity, I want to see every person in heaven. That's what Matthew 8:28-19 means. Now, in that process, does that mean I'm a doormat? No. And do I have the piñata mentality? Obviously, I don't, which a lot of Christians do, which we'll talk about Australia here and wrap it up and then talk about it in the after show. We have to talk about Australia and Islam and where they're going and all that stuff. So, I mean, Christians, I mean, that's not that. So we talked about this too long because I think it was very personal. There's more than just Rob Reiner. There's this underlying.
That's what American politics seems to be today. That's the problem.
I don't like it.
Salo, would you say that was Richard who made that comment? I agree. It wasn't joyful. He wasn't rejoicing. He said that it was sad. But he blamed, Richard, read the Post. He blamed, it seems to me, from the Post. I just read it a couple times. Yeah, he blamed Rob Reiner's murder on Rob Reiner's alleged rage that somehow compelled Nick Reiner to murder him. And by every indication, Rob Reiner and Michele Reiner did everything that they could over the last 32 years to help this young man. They did everything that they could. That doesn't sound like it was his rage that compelled his son to kill him. So let's just evaluate it for what it actually is.
And Karen, I really wanted to talk about Australia on the radio because I wanted everyone to get this conversation because it's needed. Because at some point we're going to have an awakening on the ideology of Islam and its effect on certain countries. And we're going to talk about that on the after show. The UK, France, Germany, Ireland. I mean, Egypt in the past, Syria, Jordan. I mean, these were all Christian countries in the past. I mean, and not that they have to be Christian countries, but countries that were free and freedom, and how that affects that all people, even people that disagree with conservatives or whatever. You have to have this really talk and awakening about the ideas. We have to talk about that. And I wanted to do it on the radio, but we don't have time. We're wrapping up. I know we only have a minute before we go to the after show, but we're going to talk about this on the after show. We're going to talk about this father and son that made this pledge to ISIS before the massacre, and how the prime minister vows to have stricter gun control laws. I mean, which is complete disconnect for whatever reason. And we have to talk about this obsession with these political elites that want to allow Islam to dominate in their countries, essentially handing over their culture to the ideology of Islam. And then we can study the result of that. That's all. I mean, it's in the experiment of society that we all we have to do is look, just observe and analyze. We don't have to, there's not a theory anymore, because we see the effects. So we're going to talk about that. I wanted to say to the radio listeners, a very blessed and Merry Christmas. I know not everybody's a Christian and celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, but we do. It's a tradition in this country that goes all the way back to the inception, that we celebrated the birth of the Savior of the world. Joy to the world. Our Savior is born. And so as a Christian, I wish a very merry and blessed Christmas. And just time with your family if you're not a Christian. God bless you guys and Merry Christmas. Enjoy the week.
I just have one final thing about the whole Trump thing, and I was horrified when I read it too. I was like, oh my God, no. But the thing that I kept thinking about was, I know that it's completely different, but there's always that rush to be first. And it reminded me of like when Kash Patel said, we got the shooter, we got Charlie Shooter. And you're like, what made him say that without all of the information? And I felt exactly the same way about Trump. Like, people want to be first on social media with their emotions, and then if it's right, everybody follows along. You're right, you're right, you're right. But if you're wrong, you look like an idiot. Kash Patel, I mean, he lost points way more than I even wanted to realize with the Charlie Kirk thing. But Trump doing this is just like bad. Is it about being first? Is it about being right? Is it about his ego?
I mean, I understand the fog of war. I do. I mean, you know, I think he's punch drunk from all the political attacks. It has to be.
Yes.
And so does that explain, not justify? Yeah, that can explain, but not justify.
Yeah.
What he did. I mean, in that post, it's tough. I mean, I can't even fathom. I've been in those type of things locally, and not even close to the extent that Trump's been through. So, you know, so I'm trying to give a little bit of grace, but it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't excuse it. I think you had an opportunity here to be above the fray,
Yeah.
to be quote unquote presidential, whatever that means, and just to be a better human. I mean, he's advocating Christian. He wants religion, quote unquote, back in our society. He wants Christianity to influence more than well then try your best to model it. That wasn't modeling it. That's all. I mean that. And so for me, as someone who deals with murder, who's experienced murder, who knows about new normals, I mean, it just.
Who is Trump listening to?
I don't know.
I mean, somebody's got to be the one that says that's stupid. You shouldn't have. Why did you do that?
What time did he send it? I don't know.
It was early. I mean, I think it was before that the major networks announced that the son was the suspect.
It was at 12:15, 25 at 9:51 a.m. So every staff was up.
It was right.
Wasn't like a 2 in the morning
Right,
deal.
right. But it was before they announced that Rob Reiner's son was the suspect, or very.
Look, it just
Trump
came
marches
across.
to his own.
Yeah, it just
his
came
own
across
drum.
narcissistic. When it just made it about him.
I can't imagine somebody and say, Mr. President, I don't know, you might want to
Great
reconsider
idea.
that. Yeah. But
What are you gonna do? I mean, it is what it is. That's my
And
opinion.
then so Rob
Mixed
Reiner
bag.
and his son, and then this father and son in Australia. It's like
Yeah.
Well,
too much.
Australia's done. I mean, I'm sorry.
That-
I mean, they're done. When you have a prime minister that this is his response, instead of saying, okay, can you observe your culture going away? Australia had a wonderful, unique culture. The UK had a wonderful, unique culture. France had a wonderfully unique culture. Germany had a wonderfully unique culture. They're all gone. I mean, France canceled their New Year's celebration because they were afraid of an Islamic attack. Hello, dipshit. Whose fault is that?
Yeah.
I mean, whose fault is that? What does that tell you? What is that?
That they've lost control.
No, I mean, you have some people, and I heard this from somebody else. So I won't steal it, but I mean, I can't think of it was a female. It's like when a religion has to claim they're the religion of peace. It's like the con artist saying, "Hey, man, you can trust me." I mean,
Right.
Christians don't say we're the religion of peace. We have the Prince of Peace as our savior. I mean, so you just should see that if you're truly a Christ follower, you should have this mindset. It's a peaceful mindset in the sense. Doesn't mean you're not a fighter. Doesn't mean you don't face conflict. Doesn't mean that you don't whatever. But this religion, a religion of peace. You're not a religion of peace. I mean, I've studied it. I mean, I'll say it over and over again. The Hadith, the Quran, the Sirah, which is the autobiography. Sirah is the autobiography of Muhammad. The Hadith, and there's thousands of them, are their traditions. There's 2 of them that are major, and George can talk about that. And then the Quran makes up about 14 to 15% of the faith. I mean, and you read the Quran, and you have the earlier surahs, chapters, you have the later chapters, you have the Meccan and Medina chapters. There's a lot to study here, and people need to educate themselves and study. You have the principle of abrogation, where the later chapters abrogate and take precedence over the latter ones, because there was a different mindset in Muhammad's ministry early on in his movement versus latter, when jihad was center of his movement. And so, look, you just got to study this stuff, and we don't. And I don't understand this obsession with these political elitists that want to destroy their countries. I mean,
I don't get that either.
UK is done.
And that's really, and we addressed it on R-Rated. I think ultimately, it's my view that I think that's where the conversation needs to go. We got to. This is an unholy marriage. We've been talking about communism here for a long time, but these are sister movements. I mean, you've got communistic left-wing elitists, and you have a media arm that does their bidding, that's really partnering with Islamofascists right now to bring down and undermine and destroy Western civilization. These are people who fundamentally agree on the notion that Western civilization, right, the United States, the Americas, Canada, indeed, certainly the United Kingdom, Europe, Australia, that Western civilization is really at the root of all evil. This is why you hear things like, Islamophobia being the problem, or genocide, that we commit genocide, and look at the charges, and I was going to say globalize the Intifada, but things like decolonialize. We need to decolonialize.
As they colonialize.
Right. So there's a visceral hatred at the center of the worldview of these elites. And so, it's just a gas to me. I was listening to Laura Tingle, who is a broadcaster for the ABC affiliate in Australia, and she was up in arms. She just kept saying, this has nothing to do with religion. I'm sorry, they had ISIS flags. They attended a psycho mosque.
known for pushing jihad. We know that to be the case. We know what their ideology was. We know why they did this. And this wasn't done generally. This was done at a Jewish event in celebration of Hanukkah. We know that. So we know that this is a movement that abhors and detests the quote-unquote people of the book, Jews. We know that. This isn't a mystery. And so the idea that it has nothing to do with religion, as if we're the crazy ones, and this is what you're hearing. You guys are wrong. You're nuts. This has nothing to do with religion. Religion of peace. This is propaganda. And you tell the lie over and over and over again, and people must say, yeah, there must be something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. What's happening is actually happening. And Nico, we better deal with it, because this isn't going to get better with time.
Well, think about it. When a Christian abuses our scriptures and becomes quote unquote fundamentalist, like the Sabbath has to be on Sunday, not Saturday, and weird theories and all the kinds of bullshit they have. I'm more saved than you. And when the Christian gets that way, they become annoying. When the Islamic becomes more militant and follow their scriptures, they murder. So they just look at the ideology when they try to make these false equivalents or whatever they want to criticize. If somebody abuses Christianity, you're called out. If somebody follows Islam, no one says shit. I said this on Wednesday on Already Christianity to both Pastor Mo and Marquise. Give me the list of Islamic groups that have repudiated what happened in Australia, or October 7th, or any of the things, any act of violence, the cars in the UK, and it's not about guns, because there's cars, there's knives, there's planes. There's so where are the list of all the Islamic cult groups that say that's not Islam?
No, you actually had the opposite of that. So remember, a Muslim, yes, indeed, a heroic man named Ahmed al-Ahmed stepped in. So we've never said that every single Muslim is a terrorist. We've never said anything of the sort. What we're saying is that the worldview has terroristic impulses at its core, because jihad is at the core of Islam. And no, it's not a spiritual struggle. It is a physical struggle. And in every single context, it's physical. That's what we're saying. And the vast majority of people who actually follow the tenets of Islam will end up either supporting or actually involved in jihad. So that's what we're saying. So back to Ahmed al-Ahmed, you had all kinds of Islamic groups who repudiated him from being a traitor.
Mm-hmm. And what if he would have done that in an Islamic society? He would have been killed.
That's correct.
So that tells you everything. So God bless that guy. And they tried to shoot him. He got shot. He got injured. He could have easily died.
I could barely watch the video.
The son shot him.
Yeah.
And then they raised like $2.5 million for him. Good for him. He earned it.
Amen.
Look, he deserves it. Not earned it. He deserves it. God bless him. But that tells you that's not the norm. He's being, to George's point, he's been repudiated by Islamic groups. Why? Why aren't people asking these questions? So you want to bitch about, that's why I've always liked, I've always liked Bill Maher. I disagree with him on most things. I've always agreed with him on free speech. I've agreed with him on his criticism in Islam. And I've agreed with him on his criticism of pharmaceutical companies and, medical freedom, and, because he's a classical liberal. So I've always supported him on those things, and then I also support the fact that he doesn't mind criticizing quote unquote his side, and he does it pretty harshly, not just kind of superficially. So I like Bill Maher. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I like him, and Bill calls it out. He talks about it, and I don't understand this obsession with these countries, and I really don't. Kevin, and maybe George has some insight. These obsessions with them just flooding their country with an ideology that is not conducive for coexistence. No, it's just not. And the evidence bears that out objectively.
No, there's a gross self-hatred here. This is really a belief that it's our fault. Again, this has been taught for decades. It didn't happen a couple weeks. This idea that we are imperialistic. The problem is us. We deserve the hatred that's being directed at us. It's our problem. See, the victims are at fault here. And notice what's happening. We're sort of folding in on ourselves. We're the colonializers. It's kind of like in the aftermath of the October 7th. I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, Israel got what they deserved.
Yeah.
And this is the mentality. And what I'm saying is that you've got communist elites that are partnering with Islamofascism because they have a common enemy, and that's Western civilization. This is a civilization issue. This isn't just a religious. This is an effort to take down an entire civilization and the principles of Western civilization, which are ultimately rooted in Judeo-Christianity. And we just have to recognize that that's where the battle is. And the problem is that our leaders are caving. I mean, it breaks my heart. I'm hearing Christmas market after Christmas market is closing, or all across Europe, in Germany, in France. I heard the same thing in Poland, which was heartbreaking to me. That why? Why are we shutting down celebrations of our cultures? For what?
Well, I mean, but people are ignorant to it. I mean, like, I know Mark Antoine listens, here, and I appreciate it, even though he's very much disagrees with us, and we disagree with him, and which is interesting to me because I mean, I know where he went to high school, and that's not his real name, but I welcome his opinions. But I mean, you tried to make these false equivalents last week, and I just told him, I said, man, let's go talk. I'm happy to talk with you. You obviously are ignorant. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Ignorant is meaning not knowing. I'm ignorant to a lot of things, to Islam. And the teachings of it, and what it stands for, and what it means, and what a caliphate is, and a caliph, and what their it's an imperialistic mindset. So it's a political movement wrapped in a religion. I mean, and all you got to do is study the hadith, study Sharia, study the Sirah and the Quran and the different chapters, the surahs, and what they stand for and what they do, and then watch the implementation of it over years. We have a laboratory of experience. Cultures, Islamic theocracies. We have, when countries have let in, Egypt used to be Christian, Jordan, Syria. Now we can put on that list Germany, France. How many beautiful cathedrals do they have there? That was opened by accident.
Exactly.
The UK, the UK, and Prince Charles is obsessed with Islam.
I've been
that
in Europe
dumb dick.
many times, Nico. It's been stunning.
Crazy.
And one of the reasons I just loved it is because you can it's a story. It really is a story. You can't decouple Western civilization from the story of the growth of Christianity in the world. And it's stunning to see. This gorgeous classical architecture, which was at the center, was an expression of faith, reaching to the heavens in majesty. This connection between God and man. It was a rejoicing of that, which is at the center of the Christian story. And so you have really traditionally European and American politics, right, and English politics that come out of those priorities, those moral imperatives that come from Christianity, and you see architecture and culture develop around those things. So it's beautiful to see those things. And what's happening is that you're seeing a societal erasure of that as you import people with a culture that is hostile to your host culture. That's suicide. What are we doing? There's no culture that does that unless they hate themselves.
Well,
you hate your own people.
We have to have a discussion, and we have to define terms and educate ourselves before we have this discussion.
It's not a phobia.
No,
it's not a prejudice.
Okay, a phobia is an unreasonable fear of something. If you say, Nico, you have arachnophobia, and then I see a tiny spider on the wall behind Saulo, and I go, Saulo, duck, and I draw my gun, pop, 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 and I shoot 5 rounds at a stupid ass little spider on the wall. That would be an unreasonable fear of spiders. That's arachnophobia. So what they claim is that you have an unreasonable fear of Islam. No, I have a concern, a legitimate, objective concern with a set of ideas that seems to be not conducive for a free society. That's the discussion we have to have. That's why if you notice, I don't use the word Muslim. Because we all know Muslims that are peaceful, Muslims that are nice, beautiful, wonderful people. I have friends that are quote unquote Muslim. Now, whether their commitment to Islam, we can break that down, and whether they would thrive in an Islamic theocracy or true Islamic culture, they wouldn't, because they've been Americanized, and there's kind of this. But what I'm saying, that's why I talk about Islamic ideas, Islamic principles, Islamic tenets, teachings in their scriptures, in their books. So are Islamic ideas, is Islamic ideology conducive with a free society? And we just have to look at Iran. pre-1975. I mean, look at the pictures and the videos. It's insane. There was no burqas. Women, you would have thought you were in California, and women going to school, wearing dresses, having hairstyles, accomplishing things. And now, you have a bunch of, people wrapped up and all you see is eyeballs. How is that honoring women? Where's the liberal here? Where's the progressive? But I guess if you don't give a shit what a woman is, then why do you care about defending what you think a woman is? Because you don't give a shit about it. Yeah. You see, I really push back at the presuppositions and the ideas. And that's the discussion we need to have. Is Islamic ideology conducive with a free society? And I think there's a strong argument, objectively, because the evidence is out there, that it's no. And then study the ideas.
That's right. And importing cultures with that ideology at center into this culture is going to be very, very problematic. And it has been. It's not a phobia. It's not a prejudice to notice that as you import this culture, you're seeing more murdering of our citizens. And not only that, they demand that our society then submit ourselves to their violent takeover.
But watch the videos that don't make the mainstream, where you're seeing the different pockets and the way people are being treated, and the aggression. It's aggressive, and the way the women feel. And look, even though the Christian is going to talk and pray for the person that lives out a gay lifestyle, they're going to dominate and hurt. Tell me how many pride parades are in an Islamic culture?
0.
How many pride parades? Progressive? Mark Antoine? How many trans kids you think are in Islamic cultures? How many people can even discuss and have that conversation about trans? Women's rights? How many? Well, the progressives don't even know what a woman is, but whatever. Women's rights. Whatever you want to talk about, your pet projects. Talk about it in Islamic culture, and you want to take that on. Why? Because my enemy's enemy's my friend. Because the progressive thinks, what? The conservative Christian or the conservative resist this Islamic push? Well, I'm going to support what they resist. It's that tribalistic mentality. And so they have no idea. And then it's like, yeah, come on, help me out. Let's get the conservative Christian out of the way. Now you're my bitch. What are you talking about? Pay the jizya. Be under my control. Convert or be destroyed, or worse, God forbid. Just look at this. To me, it's absolutely cultish, and it's weird how people are obsessed with this idea that for some reason you can't speak out against Islam. You can't speak the truth about it. And there are some bold pastors out there. What are their names, Saulo? The ones that the lady that came here, the Australian couple, huh? Millicent. Her name is Millie. What's his name though? Huh? Find it really quick. These people, God bless it. This guy he's Egyptian. He was preaching in Australia, met his wife, Australian couple. So Saulo's wife, Edith, and my wife, she runs this group called She Is, the wonderful women's group. And my wife's on the leadership team. And they brought her in to speak to the women. And she's bold about her defense of Christianity, and she speaks truth about Islam. And her husband, truth about Islam. His daddy, I found out because they did a podcast. His daddy was a bold preacher to Islamic people, to Muslims. Forget about he was and the threats, and he talks about a miracle because his brothers were supposed to be kidnapped. It's a fascinating story, and he's bold. He goes, look, you can't kill me. My God is the true God, and if something happens to me, it was meant to be. Then there's nothing you can do about it. God allowed it for a reason.
It's Millie and Martin Cedra.
Cedra, that's it. Martin and Millie Cedra.
Yeah.
Millie and Martin Cedra. Man, look them up. Bold and good preachers, bold and educated. So God bless them. God bless them. So look, I don't understand this craziness, and this is something that the Democrats and the Republicans, progressives and conservatives should agree on, because this is self-preservation of this system we have, so we can go back to arguing and go back to trying to persuade each other. Because whether you like it or not, our system, and that's why the Rob Reiner thing was so, and the Charlie Kirk and all, we are falling into a fucking abyss of violence in the political arena. Mm-hmm. That's not the way our founding fathers set this up. They didn't. They set up a system in this constitutional republic where let the best idea win. That's why the freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of speech is number one. Mm-hmm. Not number two is protecting number one. And that's why I'm passionate about number 2. I mean, I would to the death. I will never live in an environment where I cannot carry a weapon, and I cannot. And I'm a passionate supporter, responsible supporter of the Second Amendment. But our founding fathers set up a system. What'd you say, George? What'd you say, Nico? Let's get into the public square and let's debate. And you push back, and I can share whatever stupid idea I have, and it can be and it can be offensive. I support offensive speech. I can be whatever, and you can back it, and then the audience here says, Nico, you're a dumbass. And they will relegate me to the area where I belong in the dumbass corner. That's the way our system is set up. Persuasion.
Right.
And that's why when violence is celebrated or justified, and that's why I got the way I did about Rob Reiner and about Charlie and about this is bullshit. We're not going to sustain that. I mean, forget about the midterms. We're not going to sustain. I'm telling you right now.
We've allowed our educational system over the decades to cow people into a corner on fake-ass charges of racism and prejudice and some bullshit phobia and xenophobia. I never understood that in American culture. America's inherently unxenophobic. I mean, it's stunning to me. And so it's like people are afraid. Nobody wants to be called racist. Nobody wants to be called a bigot. So they. And even if you are a bigot, you have a right to be a bigot.
You have a right to be a bigot.
You have a right to be an asshole in this country.
Yes.
You actually do.
Yes.
But the Constitution actually sort of memorializes that. You can be an asshole. You can say asshole-ish things.
Yep.
You can. In fact, it's there to protect particularly offensive speech. So we need to see more politicians, more leaders constitutionally push back on this and say this is constitutional right. I'm going to say it like it is. I'm not going to call me racist because I'm not being racist. I'm calling things out as they are. I want to give credit. I want to give credit to two representatives, Keith Self and Chip Roy. They've launched.
Is Chip still running for Attorney General?
Damn good question. I don't know. I hope he stays where he is. He's doing good work on this.
I know, man.
I saw that Self and Roy had indicated, quote, Sharia is a dominating force that is not compatible with the U.S. Constitution. Sharia is Islamic law, and they said the American way of life is under siege by radicals. They put this out from a culture waging war against our Constitution and Western values. We've seen what happens when nations allow this infiltration. They need to use the words like infiltration. It's exactly what it is.
Don't
Countries
forget
like France and England are on the verge of hosting their identity and sovereignty. The same forces are at play here in America today, and if we don't stop them, they will conquer our country too. I am proud, Keith Self says, both from Texas, to co-chair the Sharia-free America Caucus with Congressman Chip Roy to defend our Constitution, preserve our freedoms, and make America a Sharia-free nation once and for all. America is a Sharia-free nation. Constitutionally, we must be.
But why every Democrat should be on board with that?
Exactly.
Mark Antoine, Alamo Talk, everybody, and talk to every Democrat should be on board with that. Because if the Democrat thinks, well, what, the conservatives don't like it, fuck them. I'm going to just support against whatever they don't want. And they're like, oh, shit. You can't negotiate with they say a terrorist or be friends with a scorpion. You don't have a pet scorpion. They can't be, and this ideology is antithetical to the Democrat too. I promise you that.
Because they march against no kings. They march against no kings.
As they advocate a king,
exactly,
a caliph. Yeah. That's. I mean, the hypocrisy is insane. Like the LGBT for Gaza was insane. That's why people joked about that because it's insane. That's like the. What is it? The chicken for Chick-fil-A. Hey, I want to push Chick-fil-A. Hey, fucker, it's you in the sandwich. You know? So Saldo, you want to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I love the phrase that you said because it's powerful and weird and funny that you have a right to be a racist in America.
Yes.
And I was just going to mention because of the oversensitivity of people now talking about Jews or being like throwing no. Like they used to throw the word racist for everything. Now it's what's it called? Anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
But people have a right to be saying all that stuff. That's impressive to me. That's why Tuck Carlson was telling Ben Shapiro, Ben, I love what you're saying, but you're telling me to cancel even people within the conservative movement.
Who's advocating for cancel?
Well, he says that you need to call out and you need to condemn and you need to remove. That's what Ben Shapiro was saying, that people need to do that to people they don't agree with.
That's what ridiculous.
That's what Ben Shapiro was saying. You know,
well, I have a very different view on that. Yeah. I mean, you want to devote a show to that? Look, I don't like Ben Shapiro. I can't stand listening to him. But he said things in that speech that were absolutely salient that people need to take seriously.
Yeah.
So I just kind of kept my mouth shut for as long as I could until he brought that up. But I just want to tell you, there's a very different view on this too. Tucker Carlson is over the top, man. I mean, he's over the top. And he aligns with people that say reprehensible things about people that are okay with murdering millions of people, actual genocidal people. This is a genocidal spirit. It is. We need to call that shit out.
What is?
Anti-Semitism has at its core the notion that Jews are at the heart of the major problems in the world. Now, if that's the case, it's not a far step to dehumanizing those people. That has happened over and over and over again. This isn't theoretical. This is not new. This has happened over and over and over again. And at the end of the day, people can say whatever the hell they want. They're the only people in the world whose populations have been exterminated systematically to the tune of more than 50%. And it didn't happen a million years ago. It happened 80 years ago. So it is a legitimate issue, and we ought to be prickly about it. So, no, I don't take that standing down. I don't say, oh, it's anti-Semitism. That's not a casual slur.
Right.
I don't think people should be calling everybody anti-Semitic.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But it is a legitimate issue, and I do believe, and we've talked about
Tucker's
it here.
anti-Semitic?
I think, yes, I think he's acting anti-Semitically in the shit that he says concerning Israel.
And Candace,
it's
I'm assuming,
unhinged.
is anti-Semitic?
He literally sat there at the speech and defended Islam.
I didn't hear that part.
Read that. Read what he wrote. I mean, read what he said.
At the Turning Point speech?
Yes.
What did he say?
Because he literally believes that Islamophobia is a thing. What's wrong with us? Making a big deal out of nothing.
Didn't he buy some property in Qatar?
Look at Tucker Carlson's comments on Islamophobia, and you could hear a pin drop. People were clearly not on board. They weren't. So for all of Shapiro's flaws, and he has them,
Got it.
and I've been open about them,
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson is over the top. This is not a winning strategy. And what irritates the fuck out of me is that you got people allegedly on the right who are aligning with left-wing anti-Semitic zealots, and at the end of the day, they're doing the bidding of Islam, too. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
This is basic history. So if you think I'm full of shit, read your fucking history. At the end of the day, Nico, I'm telling you, there's grave sites all over the world because of this crap. And Europe is littered with them.
You know what I did? I have to feel this because I get people, now that you brought, I guess we're going to go down this path. I get text messages where people send me videos of stupid shit that certain Jewish groups said or some I said, so what? What's your point? I mean, I get it. Jesus is burning in his own feces, the Talmud. Well, fuck the Talmud then. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that person's an idiot, and that's why, I don't support that. But what is your point? Therefore what? And so these people, I mean, this is an issue on the conservative side. I mean, Saulo loves the game of the marketing and the algorithms, and that's his world because that's what he does as a profession. I get that. But for me, as someone who, what's my biggest concern in the near future, Karen?
I don't know. What is it?
The midterms. You're not listening
absolutely.
to me, Karen.
Yes, I
You're
am.
not gonna
I
make
am.
a good wife
I was
to
looking at
somebody.
a bigger picture.
No, Karen. That's why we can't find you somebody. I'm joking. But it's the midterms. I mean, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, even Nick Fuentes, all these people, and then all these other ones that have to collaterally jump in there, Knowles and Turning Point. This battle, this little infighting, does not serve us in the midterm. Me, if you can't tell already, I'm all about a goal. I'm goal-oriented. I wanted Trump to win, and I want us to win the midterms. Why? Because I believe the ideas of today, of the Republican platform, will bless the sustainability of this experiment called the Constitutional Republic. And in those set of ideas, even the progressive left person will be blessed for it. If the border is secure and we're not being invaded, that blesses the progressive. If they have a right to thrive and they can earn business and they can have entrepreneurship.
I get it.
I know. And they can go to school safe and they can and there's order, law and order, that blesses the progressive. If there's free speech and there's not cancellation or that blesses them to be able to say what they want to me and to try to persuade me and to do whatever and say whatever they want, essentially, almost. But that blesses the progressive. You see my point? Mm-hmm. I believe that will bless them. Now, they're not going to feel blessed if I'm against abortion, if I'm for traditional marriage. I get that, but I'm not going to force that. That's something that we can debate. But we can't debate those things if all these other things that we should be on board with are not there. That's why this bothers me. I don't know what side. I don't have I'm for Nick Fuentes because I'm not. I'm for Candace because I'm not. I'm for Tucker because I'm not. I'm not for any of these motherfuckers. I'm for the ideas of the platform that I believe we need to win in the midterm, so President Trump, with all my irritations of him, can fulfill his goal. That's it. I mean, and I believe we can talk about Venezuela, we can talk about Maduro, we can talk about all we can talk about all that stuff, but I want to be able to talk about it.
Right.
That's why I want to be able to talk about it. And in these other cultures, you can't even talk about
they're
it.
shutting down conversation. That's what I'm saying. We have people allegedly on the right who are helping people on the left shut down conversation, which is the same spirit of Islam, to shut down any dissent on the basis that you're a racist. And if you bring up obvious problems that happens to have a racial element or an ethnic element, then there's something fundamentally wrong with you. And this, I read this. I read far left magazines and far left publications, so you don't have to, Karen. But I read the Daily Beast. It was on the Daily Beast. They were just, it was congratulatory of Tucker. And Tucker has a significant platform. And for him to be saying that, I just pulled a quote, that we should not be attacking, you and me who have these criticisms, should not be attacking people on these grounds. What grounds? The fact that they're Muslims. And that's not what we're doing. We're not attacking people because they're Muslims. We're attacking people because there is an Islamic ideology that is completely at odds with the American Constitution. He went on to say, what the hell are you doing? He was reputing people, because you're seeing it from Republicans. What the hell are you doing? What you're doing is trying to divide the country. That's what we're trying to.
That's what we're trying.
He says, I've lived through it, this 50 years of this crap. All these fake race wars they're always promoting. Hate each other. And he goes and he sarcastically says, go hate each other while we loot the treasury. You see what his point is? This notion that we are saying there's something fundamentally wrong with Islam, and we can't let cultures in here who have subscribed wholly to Sharia law. That's right. If a culture is 95% Islamic and they've imposed Sharia, then we need to think twice, 3, 4, 5, 10 times before we let somebody in here. Because it'll be a clash of cultures that's hostile to this culture.
But whoever supports Candace or Tucker, reach out. I want Candace to have one show on Islam. I want Tucker to have a conversation. I would love to interview Tucker. He does all these, and his little goofy laugh and all the other shit. And I like a lot of things Tucker says. I like a lot of his investigations. Some of his investigatory reports, like on the Butler shooter, on 9/11. I mean, man, that's a free country.
That's why I'm so upset.
I like when he does stuff like that. Ask the questions. He's a good thinker usually. But I want to see him talk about Islam. I want to see Candace, just for one show, you just leave the Jews alone for a second and just not talk about Turning Point USA. Let's have a discussion about this.
Nico, that's a good point. And I would say, Salo, that's the problem with Candace and Tucker on this issue. They act like that what we're doing is sort of gratuitously attacking Muslims who are fine and upstanding and loyal and law-abiding and Constitution-loving Americans. That's not what we're doing at all. We're pointing out an obvious cultural clash here. And this mass migration of cultures who want to destroy the United States, who abhor American culture. That's what we're bringing up here. That has to be engaged. And so what I'm saying is, when he carried on, you could tell the audience was uncomfortable with it. I mean, it went over like a lead balloon. Legitimately so. So that's what I'm saying. And we got to have this conversation. And I'm just frustrated that we don't even have unity on this on the conservative side. And so when you said, I hope every Democrat gets on board, it would just be nice if every conservative got on board with Keith Self and Chip Roy. God bless them, by the way.
Well, look, I mean, there should be a national law out banning Sharia law. And there shouldn't be one Democrat that opposes that. And if they do, I want to know why. I want to know why. Well, if Trump and the Republicans are a threat to democracy, Sharia law is not? I mean, do you understand? Do they know what Sharia stands for and what it does when it's implemented? Have they studied an Islamic culture, fully pure Islamic culture?
Exactly.
I mean, this is why I push back at these presuppositions and forget the taglines. What do you really believe? And so Australia.
We're not against Islam because we don't like brown people. That's not the issue.
You better not. I'm brown.
I mean, it's not just a religion. We've explained it's a political system, and it's truly supremacist. Now, there's a supremacist system. It's violent. It's authoritarian. It's discriminatory. Oil and water with the American Constitution. And we damn well better think twice about importing it here. And we've already been doing it, and we're paying the price. Time to wake the hell up.
Yeah.
Do you think sometimes that, especially people in Texas, say that's never going to happen here, and so it is not,
As it happens here.
yeah, it is not taken as seriously as the people.
Well, we had a discussion with some pastors, and there's a lot of ignorance. There's ignorance and then fear of being called names, and that's the combination. And if you look at the 100-year plan, right?
Yes.
The 100-year plan, and part of it is just call them names and they'll shut up. They're right. Call someone a name and they'll shut up. Oh, you're Islamophobic. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. You're xenophobic. Oh, shit, I don't want to be called that. So what?
So the last caliphate ended in 1924 with the Ottoman Empire. It was a 700-year. When you talk about these formerly Christian cultures collapsing and becoming Islamic, it was under the surge of the Ottoman Empire, which went from about this 8th century or so to 1922. The Muslim Brotherhood has its birth date in the same time period, somewhere between 1924 and 1928. So when you talk about the 100-year plan, it's been since then. Why 100 years? Because that was the fall of the last global caliphate, which is simply an Islamic government, world Islamic government. And anybody, by the way, anybody can declare a caliphate. There's the caliphate, but you can have a mini caliphate.
Right.
So it's serious. It talks about infiltrating Western societies, and it talks about, the Muslim Brotherhood has been, there's publications on this that talk about coming into a Western society and using its laws
against
to subvert that Western society. And the laws that we are most proud of, the laws that protect minorities and protect religious discrimination and protect the expression of conscience in the public square, using those laws to shut down the host country as it erodes liberties from the inside. This is well spelled out.
How is any progressive okay with what's going on in Dearborn, Michigan, or in Minnesota? I don't understand. Make me understand that, and then apply for your city permit to have your pride parade. I don't know. And see if you can walk at a beach with a bikini on. Whatever you want to say. Test your theories. Go to these countries. Go to the country that is all in on what you're supporting here, and obviously wanting to replace the conservative with here, since you're supporting it here. Go to that country and then test your theories. Forget about your words. With all due respect, go to the country and then test your theories, and then let's just do a little mini study, because the studies have been done, by the way. But just do one yourself. If anybody is in the comment testing, whatever, Mark, whatever, whoever's going there that has a different opinion, go test your theories and let's see what happens. But look, okay, I got to get to a boxing lesson for the kids. But Merry Christmas.
Please,
Karen, you're so angry. Why are you so angry?
I'm not
Jesus
angry. I'm not.
Loves you.
Lighten up,
Thank
will
you. Thank you.
You're very angry, Salo. He loves Candace.
Yes,
Thank
I know.
you guys.
Go,
Merry
go
Christmas.
Candy. Go Candy.
Merry Christmas, guys. I think I said it on the radio portion also, but regardless of your faith, if you're a Christian, you celebrate the birth of our Savior. If you're not, then hopefully you just celebrate time with your family and you're grateful for that time together. Hopefully you're grateful for this country, for the principles and ideas of this country, which is a constitutional republic, regardless of what side of the political spectrum you're on. I like when we can disagree. We got to do everything we can to preserve the fact that we can disagree. And so what ideas will promote the idea that the fact that we can disagree and not worry about being killed or violence used against us, and it shouldn't be supported. So I think you can criticize someone you support and still support that person, obviously, and just make a criticism of their behavior, like I did and George did with President Trump. But ultimately, what I believe that Christmas stands for is this idea of giving. Giving what? Giving of your time, talent, your treasure, giving of yourself, giving to someone less fortunate, caring about your neighbor. Why? Well, that's a biblical principle. Matthew 22:36, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul. Love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus said it's better to give than to receive. It's better to serve than to be served. These are biblical principles, Christian principles. And that is what undergirds Christmas, the celebration of Christmas. If you want to be a Bahambach and say that, it's pagan, whatever, George and I are going to talk about that on Tuesday night on R-Rated Christianity, not Wednesday.
Good.
Tuesday night, we're going to talk about Christmas and whether it's pagan and the tree and December 25th and all the things and
I'm glad.
that come along with that, and what it really means in the spirit of Christian and how should a Christian respond to that. But for me and my house, we celebrate the birth of our Savior. We let the kids enjoy some things that are cultural, that our culture celebrates.
Sure.
Without dishonoring God.
Traditions.
And traditions, thank you. And the traditions there. And then we know that it's Jesus' birthday, but he loves you so much that you get his gifts, you know, and the ultimate gift is his life and what he gave the world. So joy to the world, our Savior is born, right?
Can you tell everyone that doesn't know about R-Rated, what time, how do they find
Yeah,
it?
R-Rated Christianity normally is on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock on Facebook and all the whatever normal platforms that we have. But this coming week, it's going to be Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And we're going to talk about these issues.
It'd be great to have everybody that's on Sidebar usually.
Oh, yeah,
Come
they're
on.
welcome. They're welcome to.
We'll have
talk
the
about
brothers.
that. And we'll have the Marquise and
What are their names?
Momo.
'Cause I've had so
Maurice.
many-
Maurice and Marquise Cox.
You and Mo.
Yeah. But I say Marquise and
What'd you
Momo.
say, Q and Mo? Yeah, Bromo.
Ah, man. Mama called him Marquise. I'm going to call him Marquise.
Okay.
And Momo. I call him Momo because he's the Momo. God bless you guys. Merry Christmas. If you don't join us on Tuesday, have a blessed time with your family. God bless you. Bye-bye.